This is a VW Tiguan. I don't know. Anyways, let's get started.
Tiguan. It's a Tiguan.
Tiguan, yes. I know it's a Tiguan. It's just being silly. It's a very strange name. I've actually not worked on a whole lot of these. I don't know why. I've just not seen a lot of them. But this is a 2016 Volkswagen Tiguan with the Volkswagen 2.0 Turbo. Just like that thing sitting back there. Luckily, this one's not having any issues like that. It came in here just for a few small issues. The fuel gauge is not working. Just zero all the time. Want an oil change, and there's a small fitting that looks like a hose would go to it that the customer is concerned about. It's like, is something disconnected? They're wanting to sell the vehicle, and they're curious, is something wrong here? So let's go ahead and take a look around this thing. It is in pretty good shape. Here's the front of this VW Tiguan. It's actually very clean, very nice looking. It's not complex or anything crazy going on. It's got nice clean headlamps. It is actually a local dealer that wants a few things fixed before they put it on their lot, and we're taking care of that for them. You can see the paint is very glossy and in very, very good shape. It has some nice wheels on it, some BF Goodrich tires. And as you can see here, we have some of the interior parts are laying on the ground. We have seats and trays and all kinds of panels and things out. We'll show you why here in a little bit. Here is the back side of this Tiguan TSI. Even the rear tail lamps are very clean and clear. Everything on this car is very nice. It's actually in very good shape. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. This one does not have hood shocks. It has a good old prop rod. And this is basically the same engine that we saw in the Audi Q5 that had the valve issues. It is the 2.0 Turbo. They use these in Volkswagen Beetles, Tiguans, Q5s, all kinds of VW and Audi products. This one's luckily running great, no issues with that. We did an oil change, everything's happy. We don't have any issues under the hood. But we do have a question from the customer or the dealer about that little port sticking off the side of the intake. For anyone just taking a quick scan under the hood, you would see that and say, oh my gosh, something's unhooked. There's a hose missing. Something is missing there. I need to get this to the shop. Something's wrong. And there is nothing wrong. That port is there in case they use it on a different model or in a different scenario. If you look inside of that port, it's solid plastic. There is no hole. There's no way to do anything in there. It's just an unused port. It's called vestigial, I guess you would call it. It's not used. There is nothing wrong. So if you have a VW Audi, one of these, and you're finding a port like that, and you're like, uh-oh, something's not hooked up. No, nothing needs to be hooked up. That's just the way it is. Let's go ahead and jump into the interior.
Okay, ladies and gents, here we go. It is pretty much 77,000 miles on here, and it's going to present very well. Just as the outside, nothing crazy going on, nothing crazy going on the inside either. Look at that dash. Really nice condition. Has a nice little spot up there to maybe, I don't know, throw a phone, a wallet, I don't know. I wouldn't put the phone up there. Usually they can overheat on a nice hot day, at least here in Kansas. But looking really good. Maybe a few little dust particles, but nothing too crazy. Got a nice little infotainment screen there. Simple HVAC controls. And as we go down, it looks like there could have been lots of, just like there was that port in the engine, looks like there could have been a lot of different options added, but all they got is traction off on this model. They do have a USB port and a 12-volt port as well. It does have a nice engine start button down there and a very simple gauge selector. Looks like we have a fun little retractable cover for our cup holder. Nothing too crazy, and a very, very, very simple parking brake. Wow, this seat is very, very close to the dash. And that's because I've been working in, you'll see in just a second as I get to the back seat, but it is awfully forward, but it is rather comfortable. It's got a little bolster on the side, nice leather seats, and they are very soft. I felt a lot of different seats in the day, and this actually is a very comfortable seat. As we move to that door card, looks like it's got two different tones of gray on it, and it's in really good shape. Don't see any marks or scratches or anything like that. Well, as we move to the back seat, this is going to be a very quick review because, 90% of it is gone, it looks like. We do have one seat. The other one we saw out on the ground. So obviously they've got some work going on back there, and he's going to be explaining that in just a moment. But it does have a nice cargo space back there. Looks like it's in really good shape. Headliner, nice dove gray, no marks, no sags, no Cheeto fingers, nothing crazy going on up there. As we end out our steering wheel, got that lovely VW symbol in the center and a few simple controls there on that steering wheel. Nothing too crazy to get us distracted from the road in front of us. So, nothing going on too much in here other than a few pieces are missing, which Wizard's going to be explaining. So let's go see what's going on with that.
Looks like a honeycomb here, Mrs. Wizard.
That's what I was just thinking.
There's our condenser, radiator, everything's nice and dry. There's a few bugs, but nothing serious going on in there. We got some plastic liner here. We just had a lot of that off. We were doing the oil change. Our brakes are nice and thick. CV boots are good. Sway bar link is good. Nothing loose there. Brakes are good. CV boot is good. Sway bar link is good. Everything's good there. Move on back to here. We can see from the back side, there's our turbo and the back side of the engine. Everything looks pretty decent in there. Maybe a tiny bit of seepage, but nothing serious. So there's a cat right at the turbo. This may be a secondary cat or a resonator. I'm not sure what that is. Probably a secondary cat since there's a sensor right after it. Here's our exhaust. Everything looks good. And one thing I want to show you guys, because we're getting ready to look into the fuel tank issue, is it has the fuel tank right here, but it's shaped like a saddle. So there's nothing connecting the two bottom portions, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Everything looks good there. We'll check our back wheels. Brakes are good. Shock is good. Sway bar link is good. Sway bar link is good. Brakes are good. Shock is good. Nothing loose there. And here's our rear muffler. Well, everything looks pretty good under here. There's nothing serious needed to be done on the underneath. Let's go ahead and get it on the ground and talk about the fuel tank. So talking about the fuel gauge not working, the first thing you need to do on any modern car is get the scan tool out and see if there are any codes, and there definitely is. Magic Mike is actually on the interior. He's going to hook up the scan tool, use an Autel scan tool, and show us what we found. And also using the data, we can see exactly what was wrong. Let's go ahead and take a look. So we see a resistance too low, covering for fuel indicator sensor 2, which is the driver's side. There are two sensors on this vehicle. Let's go ahead and take a look at the data. So a code gives you a general direction where to look, but then you need to actually dive into the data and see what's going on. We can see there's a fuel level sensor 1 and a fuel level sensor 2. One of them is giving a reading, the other one is dead. Completely like 0. It doesn't matter what we do, it always says 0 all the time. So we know definitely that sensor is very likely a goner. So we've been seeing that a lot on newer cars that actually have some have two fuel pumps, some have two fuel cylinders. And like you saw on the bottom of the car, the fuel tank is like the shape of a saddle. So it means you have to have a sensor for either side. But there's only one fuel gauge, so basically it would take those two readings and average them together and give you an idea if it's half, empty, 3/4, whatever it's going to be. Magic Mike showed you guys the data. It was 0 on the driver's side, right?
Correct.
So luckily on this one you don't have to drop the tank, do you?
Yeah, it's very fortunate. A lot of manufacturers, they are giving us access panels these days. There's still a few, like on a Chrysler 300 I think we had a while ago, we had to cut open the floor pan, but these, they're giving us access. It makes it a lot easier.
Yep, so I'll show you guys here in a minute where we took the seat out and Magic Mike has everything ready. We're just waiting actually for the part to show up. But thinking about Magic Mike, he actually has his own YouTube channel. So some of you are new to this channel. You want to check out what he's got going on in his life. He has a new Yukon. He has all kind of things going on. He's got several videos out. Actually, you've got, what, like 20-some thousand subscribers?
Yeah, 27,000 and about 35 videos.
35 videos. That's doing pretty good. So there's definitely some content for you guys. There's a link in the description below. It'll take you to Magic Mike the Mechanic. There is a lot of great videos to watch there as well. I'll let you get back to taking your break.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So here we are in the back of the vehicle. We have the driver's side rear seat out. Actually, we have a lot of panels and carpet and stuff out of the way as well, so we could actually get the seat out. But on either side in the rear, there's a little kind of a hard plastic rubbery type cover. You go ahead and remove that and disconnect the plug. Here's our little rubber cover, plastic, whatever you want to call it. I'll unhook the connector. There's our connector there that goes to the fuel sending unit. You can see it's the color of blue. It's like a light blue color. We'll take and twist this locking ring out and pull the entire assembly out. We're just going to replace the actual sending unit, not the entire assembly. So that'll save a little bit of money there. But that's what needs to be done to take care of this situation. I really do like these that have where the seat comes out. It's a lot easier to do than dropping the tank because you don't get a bunch of dirt in your face and you're not trying to balance a heavy tank with full of fuel, which that comes to mind. Every time a fuel pump fails, it's always full of fuel right after a fill up. And the reason why is because you put that cold, fresh fuel into the tank, and whatever failure is happening with the fuel pump, the instant change in temperature, it finally kills it off. It always happens. It seems that way. But back to this vehicle. Luckily, we can take the seat out. Instead of taking hours and hours to get it done, it's just a couple and a half hours to be all the way apart, all the way back together. Magic Mike asked if I would want him to go ahead and remove the actual assembly while we're waiting on the part. And I told him no, because we don't need an open fuel tank with vapors seeping out waiting till tomorrow. One small spark will turn this into a pretty big explosion. We definitely do not need that. Also, things could fall into the hole, but the bigger problem being the explosive nature of gasoline that we all know about. So for less than $700, we have the oil changed, the sending unit, the labor, everything done on this car, and it'll be back on the lot, and everything's fixed. Everything will be ready for sale. It's really a pretty nice car. But you really can't sell a car and ask top dollar for something that the fuel gauge doesn't even work. I don't think any of us would want a car and be like, yeah, something's not, I don't think I want to deal with that. You need to get this fixed or figure this out or whatever. So definitely getting that taken care of. But if you're a gearhead, you could probably pick up a vehicle with a problem like this and fix it yourself. It's not too hard, just more than time consuming. Sometimes dealers can actually fix things themselves, take care of it, and put it back on the lot, and it's all taken care of. But when it comes to situations like this, you don't want to play the guessing game or make a mistake and actually blow yourself up. So get it taken care of. Be back on the lot here pretty soon. If you're curious what kind of tools we are going to use to fix this, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on this channel, and also, like I said, there's a link below to go check out Magic Mike's channel. A lot of very interesting content as well there. So again, thanks for watching.